Hello and namaste to everyone across the world. Today is World Storytelling Day and this year's theme is voyages. And starting today, we're going to bring a story to you daily with my little assistant.
Hello.
That's Arif, my son. And today's story is from India. It's a story from the west coast, a small union territory wedged between Gujarat in the north and Maharashtra in the south. Now, it's home to the Warli people or the Warli tribesmen. Shall we begin? How do all stories begin, Arif?
Once upon a time, long ago.
That's right. Once upon a time, long ago, there lived two best friends. Friend number one,
Kahankar.
friend number two,
Ahankar.
Kahankar and Ahankar were two best friends from the Warli people, the Warli tribe, living in Dadar and Nagar Haveli. Now, Kahankar, he loved telling stories. He could tell stories morning, noon, and night. And every time he would start or begin, just about as he was about to begin his story, he would sing this song. Sing it along with me. Suno, suno, kahani suno, akkad bakkad Bombay po, meri kahani tum le lo. Suno, suno, kahani suno, akkad bakkad Bombay po, meri kahani tum le lo. And the moment he would start singing this, Ahankar, no matter where he was, he would run to his best friend and say, I am coming! Wait, Kahankar, I'm coming to listen to your story.
Wait.
And this is what they would both do. Kahankar would tell stories all day and Ahankar would listen to them. Sometimes they would be so lost in telling and listening that they would forget what is happening around them. And that's exactly what happened one day. One day, as they were telling and listening to stories, they went deep inside the forest. And they were so involved in telling and listening that they forgot to eat. And what happens when you don't eat?
You die.
Well, you first starve, and then you fall sick, and then you die. And that's exactly what happened. Kahankar was so engrossed in telling the stories, and Ahankar was so involved in listening to them that they forgot to eat or sleep, and slowly, just one day, they fell asleep forever. Now, their families who had been worried for so many days because they couldn't find them, they would say, Kahankar! No response. They would say, Ahankar! No response. They really got worried. And they started to search for them. But no luck. They couldn't find them. Now the people or the tribesmen who lived in the forest, one day they were walking in that deep forest and saw these two bodies. And they said, they are not from our village. They are not from the forest. Who are these two people? But nobody knew. And like we all do, we have to put them to rest. So they said, okay, what we can do is, since we are forest people, we will bury them under the trees. And they dug and dug two holes long enough to bury Kahankar and Ahankar. Now many months passed by. Maybe even years. One day, one of their family members was walking deep in the forest looking for good wood to take. And suddenly, he saw these two bodies marked with two symbols. Now, Warli tribes people are very famous for their painting. They paint with bamboo sticks and their paint is white. It's made of rice paste and some gum, and they make stick figures. And there were these stick figures made, and it kind of said that these two people are unknown to the forest people. And so the person thought, maybe these may be the bodies of Kahankar and Ahankar. So he rushed home back to his village and called the family members of Ahankar and Kahankar and said, "Come, come quickly. I did find two bodies, unknown of course, buried in the forest." And they ran and they met up with the forest people. And they said, "Do you know who these guys are?" So the forest people told. And of course, they figured this was Kahankar and Ahankar. Now there was one problem. Both Ahankar and Kahankar had dissolved into bones. It had been so many months and years, and obviously they couldn't be recognized. So the family said, "How are we going to know who is Kahankar and who is Ahankar?" So they thought and they thought and they thought. And then a wise old tribal person, like a tribesman from the forest, he had an idea. He said, "Okay, why don't you tell me something about them?" So the family member of Kahankar said, "Kahankar, well, he was very giving. He loved making up stories and telling stories to the entire world, whoever would listen. He would sing this song. Suno, suno, kahani suno, okkad bakkad Bombay bo, meri kahani tum le lo." And Ahankar was his best friend, and he would listen to these stories all day long. The wise tribal man from the forest, he listened to them. Idea. I know exactly how you can tell who's who. He said, "Take the bones of both Kahankar and Ahankar, because obviously you don't know which one's who, and put them in the nearby river and wait." The family was very puzzled. How was it to take the bones of Kahankar and Ahankar into the river will help tell who's who? But they respected the tribesmen and they said, "Okay, wise old man, we will listen to you." And they took the bones and they dropped them in the river. Now soon, something strange happened. What happened, Arif?
One of the body went deep down in the sea, but one of them stayed up floating just like a boat.
That's right. Well, in this case, it wasn't sea, it was river, but he's absolutely right. One set of bones floated up in the river while the other set of bones stayed down. Now, whose bones were up and whose were down? Can anyone guess? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shall I tell or shall Arif tell? Arif, would you like to tell?
Yes.
So, whose bones were floating up?
Kahankar's bones would be floating up and Ahankar's were floating down.